My name is Swami Japananda, and would like to meditate with you this morning about the spiritual path and about love. It's a simple message, but I hope that it has some meaning for you and that you can attune to it. Before I begin, I would like to take a few moments to center our energies, to quiet our minds, and to become more receptive to the love and to the blessings of the Holy Kriya lineage that surround us here this morning at this time. First, we do resurrection breath, where you turn your head to the left and you double exhale. And then you bring your head forward and you lift the energies, centered energies, up through the center of the spine, bringing it to the spiritual eye. And that is where you do your meditation techniques. And then simply watch the breath flow in and watch the breath flow out. And I'd like to add a little variation this morning. As the breath flows in, feel a loving awareness flowing in. And as the breath flows out, feel a loving awareness flowing outward into your being. And we'll begin. Turn your head to the left. Bring your head forward. Close the eyes. Lift the energy up to the single eye. And simply observe the breath flowing in and flowing out. And we'll do this just for 30 seconds. And begin. And then bring your hands into Namaste Mudra and take a quiet breath in, a loving breath, and breathe it out. And we'll begin. I would like to begin with a didactic story that Kriyananda told often at his noon meditations over the years, and it's about the heart. You may have heard it before, but I would like to tell it again and meditate around it. And this is the story that he told, with a few of the inflections, hopefully, that he added to the story. Once upon a yogi time, God, the infinite Brahman, the eternal, was sitting on Mount Meru thinking, "Oh, what a fine day. But what is all this noise that I am hearing?" And he saw all the archangels running, flying up to the top of the mountain where he sat. He could hear them saying, "They're coming, they're coming, they're coming." And he could hear great fear and trepidation in their voices. And God said, "Be thou peaceful, Shanti, my children. Be peaceful. There is nothing to be fearful of. What is coming?" And the archangel said, "Man is coming." And God said, "Hare Krishna, actu liber. Man is coming. Where shall we hide?" And they were all telling God where to hide. One archangel said, "We should go to a distant planet." And God said, "No, they're already there. They'll find us." Another said, "We should hide in the caves." And God said, No. Man is already in the caves. He'll find us there." And another said, "We should hide at the bottom of the ocean." And God said, No. They're already there. They've got scuba gear." And another said, "But then where can we possibly hide? And the story goes that all the angels made suggestions as to where God should hide to be safe from the demon man. And a little girl, a little maiden, came up to God, the reality, whispered something in his ear. And God said, "That is a great place to hide. No one will ever find me there. That is where I'm going to hide." And so he went and he hid where he certainly is not to be found by mankind. He hid in mankind's heart. End of story. And so the message this morning is really a reminder to all of us that the spiritual life and walking the spiritual path and all the techniques and procedures and philosophies are about softening the heart, opening the heart, tapping the heart, so that it awakens to the divinity that is hiding deep within it. And this morning, I would like to refer to this spiritual love in more everyday terms and call it loving awareness, or a loving feeling within oneself. Goswami Kriyananda once gave a noon meditation, and he talked about there being 3 kinds of love. The first kind of love is called if love. I will love you if you love me back. I will love you if you meet my expectations. I will love you if you do what I want you to do. And then there's a second kind of love, he said. It's because love. I love you because you are beautiful. I love you because you're famous. Both of these kinds of love are emotional love. They maintain themselves from an ego level of living. And the ego is not necessarily a bad thing, but it often creates a more possessive kind of a love. And we run into all kinds of difficulties with this. He's mine, she's mine, and things can rapidly turn to dislike, anger, and sometimes even hatred for a person, because that person didn't fill our expectations. Kriyananda called these 2 types of love conditional love or selfish love. They're based on ourself as the focus. And sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes we should be the focus, but still, they can bring about chaos in our life. And then there's a third kind of love, which is called in spite of love. It loves in spite of and is an unconditional love. I love you in spite of what you do, or I love you in spite of what you are. Kriyananda's guru, Sri Shailaji, called it unselfish love, putting oneself aside for the welfare of the beloved, serving the beloved, helping others. He always said, God is unselfish love. All it wants to do is to give. And it is this in spite of love, or this unselfish love, that the yogi tries to live by. It is a love through which our actions become more unselfish and more giving. It is a rare love, because no matter how unselfish we think we are, or how unselfish our intentions are in what we do, we often find that we really are looking for something in return. We're expecting something back, some emotional payback, even if it's just a thank you. And our expectations can be very hidden even from ourselves, and they can be very, very subtle. We don't get a thank you for something that we did, and we feel a little offended or a little agitated. And that agitated feeling is a sure sign that we're giving with the first kind of love. If, I love you if, we're giving with some kind of expectation. I do believe that the first two types of love originate, they flow from that core unselfish love deep within us. But because they function from the ego level and because they manifest in our world of duality and conflict, which is the nature, they become emotional and they lose the purity of that unselfish love. I once went down to see Swami Kriyananda's guru, and his vocabulary was surrounded by the word unselfish love. And he himself was really a very unselfish person. And he said something about love, which will always stay with me, always. He said, when you love someone, but they love someone else, yet you genuinely are happy for them and you want them to be happy with the other person that they love. Ah, he said, that is unselfish love. I call that a high bar kind of love. But he was correct. And very few people can really love in that way. Some people may even say it's impossible or unrealistic. But that is a true definition of unselfish love and what the spiritual path is ultimately about. What is love? It has so many definitions and dimensions. And in this meditation, I'm giving the meaning of love that is based on my own experiences and understanding of love, and in trying to live a more loving life. The Bible in Corinthians says that love is patient, love is kind, love is not self-seeking, love keeps no record of wrongs. And that certainly is also the yogi's definition of love. It means that when we are patient with other people, it is an act of love. When we are kind to people, it is an act of love. When we forgive, it is an act of love. What is love? First of all, on a human level, on a human everyday level, there is human love, and we all need to be loved. It's a basic human need, one of the 4 human needs that we have. We all need to feel cared about, and if we don't have that need met, our life can become out of balance, and we can become very unhappy. I would define the state of being of this spiritual love, or this unselfish love, as aligning with the state of being called Ananda, 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 as Kriyananda said so many, many, many times. And when we are in this state, our actions, our thoughts, our attitudes, our intentions are much warmer and very loving. The one thing that made Goswami Kriyananda a guru, or such a large guiding light, is certainly that he radiated this bliss or this unselfish love, exceptionally so. In the same way, Shalaji radiated this kind of bliss and unselfish love, even more so. You could feel it radiating from them. They had a warmth and a fullness of love. It is said that we are hungry for this love or for this bliss, and that we try to suck it into our life. And I think that's the correct word. We do it through food and drugs and drink and money and power and external things, other people. But it never fully works, because that love or that ananda can only be found from inside out, not from outside in. But we don't know how to find it within. The state of spiritual love is the bliss of the inward self. It is sometimes called a field of pure awareness, and experiencing this is the goal of the spiritual path, the goal of yoga, self-realization through yoga practices and through spiritual disciplines. On an ultimate level, divine love is within all of existence, or it is existence. The other day, it was so beautiful outside, and I was in my yard and I stood out there. There were a lot of plants. There was a large silver maple tree, and I didn't have the humidity to distract me. You could feel the love in the yard, in the air, and all the greenery. You could see it. Love is existence. You simply need to have the state of mind and the perception to see it. I always say that nature and animals are a gift to us because they remind us that God is amongst us. God's presence is all around us. When I first came to the temple of Kriya Yoga and I became a disciple of Goswami Kriyananda, he talked about God and how one could experience God or enlightenment or self-realization. And I had been brought up in a heavy Western Christian tradition, and all these concepts were different, but they were very eye-opening to me. And it was like walking out from a confining basement out into the entire universe. And it certainly changed my life. I had thought that God was some external being, not really sure what it was. But at one of the discipleships, I asked Kriyananda, how do you experience this self-realization or this God realization? How do you find God? How do you find this reality? And he said, by unselfish love, through unselfish love, by being unselfish. And that was his answer. And so I grabbed a hold of that singular answer that he gave me so many, many years ago. And it has been a guiding force in my life, a hug. And I attune more to action and doing Kriya Yoga, which means spiritual action. And so my pathway has been trying to awaken that state of being that Shelley called unselfish love through unselfish service, through unselfish actions to God and to Guru in whatever imperfect way that I can in this lifetime. Kriyananda always said, do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you're going to get praised or blamed or rewarded for it. He often said that the atheist is probably more spiritual than the religionist, because when the atheist does a good deed, he isn't doing it to get to heaven. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. He doesn't believe in heaven. He's doing it because he wants to do it. Yesterday, I was at the grocery store shopping. I was in the parking lot, and I took my groceries out of the cart, and I thought, maybe I can just leave the cart here in this small niche, and maybe I won't have to take it all the way back to the cart corral where it belongs. But I thought the right thing to do is to take it back to where it belongs. And so I walked it back to the cart corral. Now, no one would have seen that I didn't put it back there, but I thought the decent thing to do is to walk the cart back to the cart corral. Kriyananda always said, we are here to learn to love. And certainly, this earth life is a giant schoolroom with tons of tools and opportunities, experiences to learn to love. It's like a gym with a plethora of spiritual athletic equipment that we can use to learn to love. Kenneth Keyes is quoted as saying, everything is a gift of the universe. Even joy, anger, jealousy, frustration, or separateness. Everything is perfect, either for our growth or for our enjoyment. And it's a beautiful awareness. Spiritual love is found in existence. Kriyananda would say, it is life with a capital L. It is a field of consciousness that, when perceived, sees life in the universe as beautiful, pulsating, awe-inspiring, and full of love and mystery, not just full of hardship and suffering, but full of love and beauty. We simply need to change our perspective and see it through the eyes of love. Our attachments and all the things that make us rush around, hurry about in life, and forget ourselves are really the enemy of love. They deaden us to the beauty of life and to the love that radiates from existence. Henry David Thoreau said, you cannot perceive beauty but with a serene mind, a meditative mind. And it's really a beautiful piece of wisdom. It's a truth. And this is very important. Attuning to spiritual love enables us to put our trust in life and our trust in existence, that it will guide us. And this allows us to relax more with our life and with life. Not that your life is going to be without disappointments or difficulties, or even without illness or death. It's part of life. But that life or existence, like a mother, will take care of us, will take care of you. Physical earth life will always be up and down, pleasure and pain. But when you can trust existence, there is an intuitive knowing that you will be taken care of, that you will be given the resources to get through that which you need to get through when you need to get through it. And this means not only on this earth plane, but throughout your existence or throughout your eternity. In whatever world you find yourself, you are a part of life. You are part of that existence. I had a rather interesting experience. I had a robin's nest in my yard just recently, and there were 4 little robins in this nest. Really nice. And one day I was outside and the mother robin was gone from the nest, and I thought, I wonder if she's still around. I haven't seen her. And I wonder what she's up to. And I looked up and I saw her sitting on a telephone wire way high above. And you could feel her awareness directed to those little baby robins, protecting and overseeing that nest. Existence, life, is like that mother robin, the feeling of that mother robin overseeing. It will protect and take care of each and every one of us. We simply need to trust in it. And staying in alignment, this is key, staying in alignment with its energy helps to augment this and to keep us balanced. This is such an important point that I hope that you hear this, because I think so much of our lives are literally diminished by fear. Fear robs us of a full life. Fear in its constriction squeezes us off from the awareness of that divine being hiding deep in the pericarp of our heart. Fear is the antithesis of love. In yoga, we have 3 channels, and you're probably familiar with this. 3 channels of energy of body, mind, spirit. We have central channel. We call it the God channel. Nice channel. Good name. It's the energy of bliss, of balance, of balanced energy, and it's called Sushumna. And then we have Ida energy, and that is energy that veers away from that balance, and it's called Ida, and it's called emotion. And then we have a third energy, it's called Pingala energy, and it veers to the right, away from the God channel, and it's called our thoughts, and it's called just mental activity. We stay in alignment with existence when we attune to the God channel, that sasamana, that central channel, which is balanced energy. And if you will remember the saying, emotional energy creates problems, and balanced energy, sasamanic energy, which is a loving energy, draws solutions to those problems. It attracts and it brings, of its nature, balance. It wants to bring balance, and so it'll draw you to balanced things. It draws solutions to those problems. You have a problem. You become upset. Get back to balance. And I work with this all the time. Don't feed the emotion or the fear. And if you do this, the rebalanced energy, like a magnet, balanced energy is a magnet, will draw solutions into your life and bring your life back to balance. It may take some time. It may not happen instantaneously, but the laws of consciousness will respond to you, to that balance. the universe will magically work around and through you, and you will have the resources to deal with what you need to deal with. And that is even in sickness and even through death. I told this recently in a light conversation to my sister, Kathy, and she said to me, "Oh, yes." She said, "I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're upset, everything goes wrong." And she told me about an experience that she had a number of years ago. She and her husband were sleeping, and they had their bedroom window open during the summer, and they were awakened in the middle of the night because they heard voices, men talking in the backyard. And they both became alarmed because they thought somebody was trying to break in. And so my brother-in-law got dressed and he went to the side door to see what was going on. And he told my sister to hurry up and call the police. And so she was so frightened, she was shaking. And she said she went to the telephone, which was one of those princess phones, those old style push button telephones. And it had two numbers handwritten on it. The first was her own number, and the second one was the police phone number in case they ever needed it. So they were both there, visible. She said she was so nervous and fearful that she actually picked up the phone and hand dialed the first number, which was her own phone number, instead of the number of the police. And she kept getting a busy signal. Beep, beep, beep. And she was getting more and more freaked out. And then, thankfully, her husband came back and told her that it was only the electric company and they were fixing an outage and everything was okay. But she said to me, "That's right, emotional energy can really create complications." Words, activity, back to susamna, to balance. And I would like to take a few moments to set the pattern of interning, do resurrection breath, and simply watch the breath with that loving awareness for 1 minute, just a short time, 1 minute. And I will end. I have a gong, and we'll end with the gong, and we'll sit just for a few moments in peace and calmness. And so begin. Turn your head to the left. Bring the head forward. Lift the energy up to the single eye, the spiritual eye, and begin to meditate for about a minute with the eyes closed. Totally relax into your technique. And then if you can bring your hands into Namaste Mudra once again. And I have the gong. I'm going to sound the gong once. And with the eyes closed, just draw your mind into the sound of the gong. And we'll begin again. What are some of the ways that we can maintain this loving feeling in our inner being, in our soul, in our spirit? What are some of the techniques or the spiritual tools that we have at our disposal, to do this? I think the most important, I believe, is meditation. And to have a meditation area or a place where you can go each day to reset your spiritual buttons. And I'm giving you two things. One is to have a meditation time and to have a meditation place that you can meditate in. To reset your spiritual buttons and to realign with your spiritual values and to realign with a spiritual loving feeling within yourself, to bring you back to that feeling so you can go back out into the world with that feeling. On my computer, when I start opening up a lot of programs and doing all kinds of things, different programs and different stuff, my computer begins to start jamming up. Got all these programs going on, some in the background. And I find that I have to reset or restart my computer to get it back to balance. I have to turn it off. I have to pull away from wanting to, things I like doing. I have to pull away from that and turn it back on. It takes time, and I have to be patient. But when I do go back, after that little bit of discipline and that little bit of awareness, it does go back to my defaults and it runs much smoother. All the effort was worth it. All that effort of letting go, of drawing in, meditating, it was worth it. Spiritual love really is our default state of awareness. And we lose touch with it throughout the day or the evening with all our experiences and thoughts, and especially the emotions of the day. We forget the feeling of our meditation. And spiritually, we need a meditation time to try to reconnect back to that loving feeling within, that God channel within ourselves. There have been times in my life, even working at the temple, where things were just so busy and so overwhelming that I had a very difficult time meditating and even wanting to meditate. And I've gone through a number of different phases and discoveries with meditation, both deep and surface. And going through these stages of meditations, I am of the belief that it is important to absolutely set up a meditation time, a commitment to meditate each day for a period of time. Whether that is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, once a day or twice a day, whatever amount of time is totally realistic to you or to anyone meditating. And that is so important. You should be able to take that amount of time and do that meditation every single day for that amount of time. Kriyananda in the early days gave us a number of suggestions about meditation. And I believe this one is most, if not very, very effective. He said, sit through your meditation period no matter what. Even if you don't feel like meditating, even if you don't meditate. The world just fell apart. How can I possibly meditate? I don't feel like meditating. meditate. Sit in that meditation place. You sit there and you relax on your meditation cushion and at least draw yourself in to rebalance and reconnect the energies. And at least discipline your body to sit during that meditation time. Even if you don't do your meditation technique proper, it's important to sit there and keep your commitment. Consistency can be and is important, and maybe even more important than the length of time that you meditate. Because even if you don't meditate while sitting there in your meditation place, you will at least keep the pattern going. Otherwise, you can lose it very, very quickly. Kriyananda always said, once is a habit. Once you miss a meditation time, even once, it becomes easier and easier not to meditate the next day and the next. And before you know it, you've lost the meditation habit. And you've lost a large part of the spiritual path and loving awareness that can be so beneficial to your life. It is beneficial to your life. It's like going on a diet. You eat foods with less calories, you change your pattern of eating, and you wind up losing 10 pounds. You stop eating certain things. But then you have one potato chip. You have one cookie. Once is a habit. And you wind up gaining the 10 pounds back in a very short period of time. Does that sound familiar? A second technique, and it's a nice technique. It's called practicing the presence of God or the reality. It is feeling the presence of God, feeling that God is always present in and around you, feeling that God is your partner, and then offering all your actions and your life to that divinity. A third technique is seeing life and people and animals and creatures with eyes of compassion, like you would put on sunglasses. You put on rose-colored glasses to see the world a little bit better, a little rosier than you like. But you're putting on your glasses of compassion. And you look at people as struggling beings trying to survive in this very difficult world. Even arrogant people. Really, if you look a little deep enough, and many times looking at an arrogant person, you can see deep in the back a sadness. And you see other people, as Kriyananda said, living and creating their individual prisons. And we see them as our fellow prisoners on this marvelous earth plane of learning. And any hurt they do to us is really, in truth, probably because of their own inward pain or their suffering and their fear. And not taking their rough edges too personally and getting upset, letting go of whatever it is really an unselfish act of love. And I'm not really talking about letting yourself be abused or letting people walk all over you constantly. I'm talking about as a standard. When we feel loving, we act it out. We do nice things for people when we feel good. And before I conclude this Sunday noon meditation, I would like to again pull away from the words and go back to the center. Remember, words, Pingala, emotions, and that God channel is balance. And so we'll begin again to watch the breath, and I'll again chant the gong, and we'll sit quietly for a few moments, and we'll do this technique just for 1 minute. Turn your head to the left, bring your head forward, and lift the energy up to the spiritual eye, and begin to meditate and watch the breath flow in and the breath flow out, and feel that loving awareness flowing in and out, and begin. And then again, bringing your hands to Namaste Mudra at the heart center, where God lies deep within. And I'll chant the gong once again. And I would like to end this meditation with a fourth technique, and it's called metta, or loving kindness. And you may know it. It really is an excellent technique for balancing inward energies, for giving, and for awaking a loving feeling within. And I'll recite it. It's done in 3 levels. I'll recite it, and you can close your eyes and say it within your own mind quietly, or you can say it out loud. And I'll begin. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from fear. May my enemy be happy, truly happy. May my enemy be peaceful, truly peaceful. May my enemy be free from fear, truly free from fear. May all beings, may all earthlings be happy. May all earthlings, all beings be peaceful. May all beings, may all earthlings be free from fear. And finally, I would like to conclude with a verse that Kriyananda gave to us many, many years ago, which I think is really quite a beautiful guiding light. It's very simple, but a very nice guiding light in our lives. And it goes like this. Whatsoever you do, he said, Goswami Kriyananda, whatsoever you do, I ask that you do because of love or insight. Do not do what you do because of fear. Do it because of love, because of compassion, because of understanding, because of wisdom. Namaste, my beloved. And I thank you for sharing this morning with me and sharing your energies. Shanti.